Hello everyone, Ceri the Crafter here, that's C-E-R-I the Crafter, and today is day 2 of my prep for the hashtag GLI postcard play, which is the challenge I'm running in July 2024. Now, all of the prep days that I do will be linked in the description box below. Under that you will find any other information along with all of the channels that help me prep for this and sort for this. There are many more people doing this challenge. I'm so excited about it. All you need to do is put the hashtag GELY, that's G-E-L-Y, postcard play in, and you should find them all. When it comes to doing the challenge itself, I've got 31 videos to launch in 31 days of July. Those will not be linked in the description box below. It'll just be reliant on the hashtags to actually join them all together. So today, we're going to look at, these are the ones I did in part 1. We're going to look at what they look like. I'm going to then pause the video and spread them out. I've got a big 6-foot table over there. It's one of those collapsible tables. I'm going to lay them all out there so that then when I'm working today on my small gel plate, then we can actually, I can just look across, go, right, what will that look best on, and pull it in. We are still at the preparation stage. We are still making the backgrounds. The videos in July will be shorter videos, hopefully no more than 15 minutes, where I'm just finishing them off or decorating them up, maybe some longer videos. I don't intend them to be too long. So these are what we created. So remember, a lot of these are just tissue paper onto a card background. I want to leave that one separate and that one separate because they need a coating of colour to start with. So I'm really happy how these came out. It's given me a variety, and that's oh, I'm sliding off to the side there. That's what I wanted. I love the texture on this one. I wanted a variety of bases to work upon. Now, you don't need to do what I've done here. The rules are very simple, and one of the rules is make a postcard, and on there needs to be an element created with the gel plate. Now that could just be a little strip of tissue paper that's along the bottom. It could be the number that's on there. It could be that you've gel plated something and put it onto there as well. It doesn't need to be the feature. I've just done this because goodness knows I had enough scraps, and I love that one. I think that's, is that? I think that's Darcy Sanders's, what's it called? Stencil, and actually Darcy sent me that tissue paper, so yes it is. Love how that turned out. I'm so lucky I got that straight. This was another one that came either in a swap or Happy Mail. That's embossed, and I tried very hard to keep the embossing there. So as you can see, I've got a good variety to work from, but they all need to go to the next level. I don't think that one needs to go to the next level. These definitely need next level. I went ahead and did this because eventually I found out, because Rhonda reached out, Rhonda Donhar actually is the one who sent me this with the dragon. Now I've got to be really careful. I don't want to eliminate that dragon, so I'm going to put that to one side because it needs a transparent layer of something that's going to enhance the depth of colour there. So I need to think about that. Again, looking lovely. That was someone else's gel print that came through. That was my cleanup. Right, that needs a layer of colour as a base colour. No, let's leave it as that needs a base colour. That needs a base colour. That needs a base colour. You will see these numerous times, so if I'm going a bit quick, please forgive me. That you're going to see everything. It's just that with time allowing for filming, I don't have all day to do it because I've got to go to work this afternoon. For those of you who are asking, yes, I did eventually move away from working my night shifts twice a week. I now work in the evenings, but it means I start work at about 3:30 in the afternoon and finish at midnight. That's good because it's given me more time for filming and production, although it does mean that it's condensed on certain days my filming to the morning. So fingers crossed the sunshine doesn't come out. Right. I'm going to pause you for a minute, as I said, I'll lay these all on my 6-foot table so at a glance I can see which ones I need to put in place, should we say. So that's them all laid out over there. I did pull out these ones, and I don't really want to put anything more on these, so I'm going to consider these ready for the next stage. Okay, because if I put stenciling and stuff on that, I think it would actually distract more than enhance. Now, in total, I only need 31 postcards. I've actually got 43. And that was just the way the process went. What I'm going to do, however, is I'm going to do the whole 43 as backgrounds, and then I can decide. It gives me choice each day to choose one from there, and then any that are left just may become postcard backgrounds for the future, or because they're 4 inches by 6 inch, could be stuck on the front of a blank greetings card and made into a greetings card. Right, let's put that one to the front. Now, I've got my 5x7 gel press here. I like using gel press. It's one of my favorite gel plates, my 5x7. I want to say all of my plates are gel press, to be honest with you. Yeah, they are, actually. I've got a 4-inch speedball brayer. I've also pulled out a couple of sheets of cleanup tissue. And besides that, as you all know, I keep some labels to one side so I can actually use them to, what's the word I'm saying? Create arty labels. There are a couple of videos on my arty labels, so we're good to go. Now, before I start on, no, I should just get the backgrounds on these. Now, I'm not sure what I want. I've got all of my paints over here. There's 1, 2, basically I have all of these full of paint in different color weights. So they're all over there ready to go. So I'm just going to pull in some, and I just want to give these something in the background. Doesn't need to be a lot, doesn't need to be fully covering. It just needs, well, that's an interesting look. So it just needs to be something that, see what I mean? Just something that actually takes them to the next level. So I'm going to do that, just pop it down. So I get anything more on that. Let's pull out one that doesn't look like that. Put that one down completely. Now, I will be backing my postcards. I'm going to back them with probably just a sheet of paper. See, that's looking better. I need more on it. But what I'm going to do is, yes, they're going to be backed, but I'm also going to then put on the back, made by Ceri, the date, what the challenge was, and what number each postcard is. Although, to be honest, one of the other rules is that there is a number on each of the postcard representing the day. So yes, but the numbering will get done because I want it to be done. Right. Bring that off on there. So yeah, I've been watching PM Artist Studio. They're ramping up their prep work, which is lovely. Some chalk paint. Some really nice things happening, and it did make me smile because Patricia and Mariah are mother and daughter, if you're unaware, and they are the P and the M of PM Artist Studio. And it did make me laugh because initially Mariah was going to be doing the challenge, and Patricia was going to be helping her out with it, because they're a great team, great artistic team. But it did make me laugh because now it's got to the point where Patricia's gone, I want my own postcards. So now they actually made their own postcards and had to kind of barter between them as to who was going to have what postcards. So it's going to be interesting to see their very different styles. I know that Darcy Sanders has also done all of her prep. She's probably got 100 postcard backs, if I know Darcy, because she's been prepping for a while secretly. The people who I asked to help support me in this. Now, anyone can be doing this challenge, but initially I just needed help because when you launch something, you want it to not just be a name on a page. You want there to be some excitement about it, some interest, something for people to look at immediately, because we all want to see what's going on. So I invited 9 other channels, all from very small channels to big channels, and I offered them all a head start just so that we could all enjoy something from day one. And we did get something from day one, and I'm loving that. Now, I'm not telling you names of paints because a lot of them, as you can see, I've decanted because I get really frustrated with tubes like this that fall over all the time. So if I can decant them into a different container, I do, but I don't always do that because I don't always have enough containers. Right, I'm liking where that's going. I'm trying to make this interesting because remember, this is just a page from a colouring book, and I thought it might be a really good thing to see how far I can take that. I'm liking that. I think I might leave that as is until I get to the stenciling set. I don't even mind that line across there. I wonder whether I can put another one. There you go. I've got a mirror or a balance of it up there. Right. Let's get some of this onto some of these. Sorry, this is going to feel like a very rushed video. It's not rushed, it's just, see, I like that more, and I like the way it's pushed the numbers into the background. It's just that because there is so much to do, working mass make style, which is what I call this, is a great way to get things done. And with so much prep work to do, because I was going to do the tissue work today in this video, and then I decided let's get all of the postcards sorted and out of the way, and then what I'll do is in the next prep video I'm going to come in and I'm going to work on tissue. So I'm going to do mark making onto gift wrap tissue. I'm going to show you how I'm finishing off the numbers and generating new numbers. I think the next one may be the last video as far as prep goes. Right, now, I don't want to obliterate this. I love this dragon, and I think when this becomes a postcard, I'm probably going to doodle around this dragon to make the dragon stand out before I do something else. I did ask Rhonda. Apparently this was a generic stencil she got somewhere. I can't name it. I will endeavour to name all stencils, because I pulled out all of my 5x7 stencils from guest people. I pulled out my own stencil design folder, and I pulled out my PM Artist Studio folder. So what I'm going to do is when we get to the next stage, I'm going to work through and actually, always put your thumb on the top of the nipple here, or so it doesn't spit out. So I'm going to work through and use as many different stencils as I can, because I don't want all of my things to look the same. Now, this is a transparent red iron oxide. I only named that because it's one of my favorite paints, and it actually gives this really thin covering which changes everything beneath it. So fingers crossed, Rhonda, I'm going in. I hope not to have obliterated the dragon. Good, I like that. I can still see the dragon enough to use it. Let's just get some of that on this one as well, because it's here and why not? Now, I have been deliberating what I wanted to do with all of these when they're finished, and I came up with an idea I like, but then I've talked myself back out of it. There's 31 postcards in this challenge, and I thought at the end, how great would it be if I got one big framed piece of art? So if I lined up 30 of them across, I can't do the math at the moment, but it's an even divisible number, and then used one and put a label on it of what the challenge of the year was at the top, and then had the other 30 as one big block, almost like a quilt. I thought that would be fabulous, but then I thought of the logistics of it, and I don't have a wall that could go on anyway. I thought maybe do a triptych, which is 3 different parts, and again I talked myself out of that because for some reason it was a really good idea, I felt, but I just didn't go with it. Right, I just want to give tiniest bit where the white is on here. I just want the tiniest bit of paint just to pull in something other than, without making it look too planned. Just a little bit down there. Now that's kind of okay. Let's take this old Italian book page, I believe it's Italian, and do that. The other thing you could do, by the way, when you've done these, is you could always sew around them. I don't intend to, because I don't really want to spend all that time at a sewing machine sewing around 31 postcards. Let's see, who else has been doing lots of prep? My friend Gail Augustinelli, wonderful, has done loads of stuff on hers, so I'm really excited about seeing what she's come up with. And here comes the sun I was trying to avoid. Right, I think it's going to pass, guys. Can't help it. It is what it is. It's a very cloudy and overcast day today, so it's going to come and go. So let's just pray for that, shall we? So let's take, first of all, let's go into this little folio here. Right, so this is all from Rhonda, but I loved this one, Rhonda. So let's take this one out. As I said, I'll try and remember what they're called. That's Fleur de Lis 5x7. If I miss any, I apologise. You would be able to find them on the PM Artist Studio website. There's always going to be a link below to that website for anything I'm doing. Right, now, I think I want to start with Let's start with some red. Let's pull in a red. What's this one? Permanent Rose. That's probably more of a pinky red, but I'm okay with that. Right. So I'm going to do a couple of different versions of how to do this. It's very pinky, isn't it? I'm going to put it down, put the stencil on, lift the stencil off. I'm going to then potentially press the stencil onto my stamps and backup papers and then pick up what's on there. So I'm going to choose two postcards. And I think these two will do very nicely. Thank you very much. Now, I'm going to be working quick, as I said. So pop that down. I don't need to pick up everything, but I do need to pick up something. So see, that's enough on that one. I come in here. Let's just do it this way on. So I've got one in one orientation, one in the other. Okay, that's interesting. I do feel this one could do with something. Let's just brayer over the top of that. Yeah, so let's lift that off there, put that onto my labels, just brayer over the top quickly. And I'm braying over the top quickly because it's likely to stick to the paper. So it gives interest. This will then go into the bowl of water. And this will pick up bits of this here. Oh, they were supposed to have picked up bits of stuff there. Maybe I chose the wrong colour card. But it's made it a nice sunset colour. Let's come in with this one to see if I can pick up something down the edge at least. Yes, that'll do. So basically, as Diane Reevely says, a background is a background because it's a background. So the more you throw into the background, the more interest you've got, the more you can build upon that. Just pull in one of these cleanup sheets because I don't want that colour on my next one. That's cleaned up enough of that. These cleanup sheets, by the way, are literally going to end up as collage stuff in the future. Right, let's work on to the next one. Right. I think this is well, I know this is another. I don't know the name of this one. It's another one by Rhonda Donar. Rhonda kindly sent it to me, but I haven't got the paperwork for it. So when I put a link to PM Artist Studio, if you just go through the stencils, you will see all these designs. I mean, they're beautifully photographed, and you can see everything about them. So I have no fear that you're not going to be able to find them. So I'm going to do the same process again, not a huge amount. It's going to be very much a repeat thing today with the way I'm working. I quite like that on there. And this looks like it's just asking for something to be taken off there. So, and there's a brand new, oh no, I have used it once. I didn't know I'd used it. So pop that down on there. Come in, I would like just that one area of that. Or maybe I'd like a bit more of that. That's what I like about working with gel prints, is you never know what you're going to get because you never know what is going to be picked up during the process. And I absolutely adore that. Oh, that's looking fabulous. That one might be considered going into the done pile. Right, this one has already got this stuff on it, this colour, so I'm just going to pop this right into the middle, give it a press and see what we come up with. Oh, wow, I'm loving how that's come out. This already has hints of that colour in this, so I'm going to pull this off here. And I'm going to come in, and yeah, I want it that way. That way. Yeah, oh, I love how that happened. Pity there's not a day 48. Or could make it day 4 or day 8, though. I'll think about that. Let's bring in yellow, because yellow and purple are complementary colours on the colour wheel. So let's just embrace that. Right, now I'm not sure I'm going to get much off this stencil onto my stamps, but I'm going to give it a go. So let's just peel this off immediately. So I've got something on there. All of it is grunge. Right. Now I've got stuff on there. Again, I don't want everything looking the same, so I'm literally going to clean that off onto a piece of paper. Right, let's think. What can I do next? Where's the next stencil? Right. Oh, Eddie Makes Art, right? Diamond rings like this. This one I feel, you see I've used it for green in the past. I like using this one green. It also reminds me of lattices in a garden, like lattice things grow on. I think I'm going to pull these two in because that's already got green in it. Now, what green shall I use? So I'm going to need quite a deep green. I thought I had an olive green somewhere. I do, I've got pale olive green. Now, I'm not sure it's going to show up hugely on there, but it will show up on there. Let's take this off because it's a bit difficult to do if I don't take that off. Right, let's put this down. So what can we talk about while I'm doing this? Because I don't want it to be boring. Actually, that's a good thing. I don't know whether I've ever talked about my journey as a designer for stencils. I mean, I think that could be an interesting quick chat. Okay, for years and years, I've always wanted to make stencils. And that's not just saying it. I literally have always wanted to make stencils. I used to cut my own stencils by hand. I'm going to take that off there this time and just lay it onto there. I used to make my own stencils by cutting them with a craft knife and a ruler. Never happy. It was never perfect. But then, as with everything, you've got to sort of let go of perfection, haven't you? And then I went out and bought myself a Cameo silhouette cutting machine. I did not get on with that machine whatsoever. It just didn't work for me. Literally, it didn't work for me. I struggled. I managed to do one or two. I had these huge designs in my brain that I was going to start making my own stencils and selling them from home. And it was going to make me my living. So I didn't actually, I'm loving how that turned out. So I get some more of that. Let's do it on the map one. And it was going to make my fortune and I was going to be able to sell internationally. That dream didn't happen as soon as I started cutting. Basically, it took me like, well, that's grungy. It took me 10 attempts to make one stencil and I very quickly realised this is not the way forward. So at the time I was designing silicone molds for a company here in the UK called Katie Sue Designs. And Katie Sue Designs was going to do stencils at one point. So they asked me, Ceri, could you please hold off on your stencils and then we'll launch a range of stencils under your name. I went, that's fine, that's perfect, because what it means is I no longer have to worry about the cutting, the shipping, the packing and that. Granted, I would be on a royalty basis. Do I like those? I do like those. However, I would still have my designs out there that I could utilize and use, and that was exciting to me. Well, as the world turns, oh, it's in the wrong place. This is by Paula Keane. This is Ruin Blocks. Love this one, Paula. You know we all love this one. So as the world turns, of course, things change, things happened, and after a couple of years, the focus had changed at Katie Sue Designs, where it wasn't, they weren't going to do stencils in the foreseeable future, which was fine because I was already designing for them. I was designing silicone molds for the cake and craft world. And then when the time came to renew my contract, it was just, it got to about the point where I felt I'd done enough stamps, not enough stamps, I'd done enough design work of rubber stamps, and I was finding that I didn't really have something new to offer anymore. So I literally, I'm going to use this one. So I literally decided not to re-sign the contract. We're friends to this very day. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love that company. I support them to this very day. I used to do TV work promoting their stuff. Oh, I'm liking how that's coming out. So I have no problem with that company. So please don't read into this anything more than it is. Katie Sue Designs and myself are on a very good relationship. Oh, loving that. And I absolutely adore what we were working on. And we still have a big back catalogue of stuff that's just wonderful to delve into. Now, so basically I decided that I no longer wanted to be part of that, and COVID had kind of happening, and my whole life was changing, and a lot of you already know that story quite thoroughly because we've discussed it in more than one video. And I just felt it was time. The universe was telling me it was time for a new start. Yes, let's see those as they are. Sorry, the talking and doing thing is beginning to throw me a bit, but we'll deal with that. So anyway, so I decided to sit down and went, listen, I'm not sure I have much left to offer the cake world as far as molds go. I think it's time that I stopped. And Katie Sue Designs, the CEO, said, yes, I think we've got a huge catalogue of designs. There is more than enough there. And I was like, good, because I want to stop. And they went, that's fine, no problem. As I said, no animosity, no nothing. We just decided, as with any project, sometimes it comes to a natural end. I still have all the back catalogue. It's all still for sale. I still earn royalties from it. I still use those molds sometimes for air dry clay and stuff like that because I don't really do cake anymore. So yes, loved it, loved the product. So then COVID, of course, took me away from my world of cake and design and travel and teaching and demming and that. And I allowed my artistic side to be publicly known because I've done arts and crafts and stuff all of my life, but I was advised many years ago, do not make it publicly known because it will detract your audience from your cake industry or cake business. A bit of an odd advice, but I went, that's why I had a business mentor at the time. I went, no, they know more than I do. Let's just go with it. So anyway, so I sort of moved away from cake and fully blossomed into the artist you see today, really. And let me just put that down. I need to think for a second. I'm looking behind me trying to decide on a colour. We don't really have a lot of blue on things. Let's see if I can find a blue one. I wouldn't mind blue on that, and I don't mind a bit more blue on that. What's this? Matte paint. Okay, I'm quite happy with a matte at this point. So anyways, that started up, and during the process of, I always call it research when I'm watching YouTube because I watch a lot of YouTube. I don't watch TV. So for me, YouTube is my TV. I also like the fact that I'm watching things that inspire me and educate me. I think that's one of the things I don't like about TV is it doesn't interest me. I do drop into some programs. I mean, it's like we've got something here in Britain called the Great Sewing Bee, and I love watching that. It's an elimination competition. I put that in the water, where each week they're offered challenges, and then those challenges end up with an elimination. I like that sort of thing. There's also another one that's in the same kind of format, and that was a good choice. Which is called the Pottery Throwdown, which I think they've got it in Canada, and I think it's in a couple of other places. Really liking that. That's subtle. And I love that. And that's because I've always wanted to have a go at being a potter. Like when I first left school, one of the first places I went to was a local pottery and actually asked them whether I could do an apprenticeship. And they quite curtly told me, we only use family members. And I went, oh, okay. And I couldn't think of any other way to do it. But then I was 17-year-old and didn't really have my nonce about how to look at other things. And I wasn't aware of like further education that could take me down that route. So it was something that I feel it's in my bones to do one day. I just don't know what it's going to be. I think this one needs a bit more drama. I'm liking that. So yes, so the whole pottery thing really attracts me. It calls to me. And it's funny because I actually did, right, we're going to do Peacock Swirls by Darcy Sanders as well. And that will conclude all of the 5x7s in this one. Believe me, there are more than enough stencils to be going on with. Right, and I had to be careful because I damaged this when I was cleaning it. So I need to press it down. And it wasn't the stencil's fault, it was me. I got a bit overzealous, should we say. Right, I need something that's going to pick up blue quite nicely. I'm thinking this one, because I want to put some dark blue into this now. Oh, should I go with teal? Let's go with teal. Where was I up to? So anyway, Pottery Throwdown is another one of my favourite shows. I did actually look at entering it to see whether they would actually take someone into the show as a complete wild card, someone who had never done it before, just to see what they could do on the show. But apparently that wasn't what the show was about. They didn't want to take that risk. Even though I did say, well, I can offer the fact that I've got a very big subscribership and it could help you with marketing and stuff. They just weren't into it. So I was like, that's fine. I totally understand. The show has got rules for a reason. And they said if I did go away and learn a little bit of pottery, and then I had some images of the pots that I've made, then they would consider it. But to be honest, that's probably never going to happen. Purely because there's no way in my day I can get all of that in. I can't learn another thing. So anyway, I digress. So anyway, where was I? Oh, I'm loving that. Where do I go with this? Oh yes, so I use YouTube as my research, as loving that. See if I can find something to pick that up with. It's an odd color choice, but we're going for it, guys. So yeah, so I use YouTube as my research, and I came across this artist in New Zealand at this point called Frol Davies. What attracted me to Frol was she uses gel plates, and I've been a fan of gel press for years and have several gel plates. Now that's dramatic, and I like the way you still see the circus in the background. So I'm saying a lot. I do apologise. I hate it when people say all the time. But I'm probably going to say it all the way through this video, aren't I? So anyway, Frol was using a stencil. And she happened to say, oh, this is from a British company called, an American company called PM Artist Studio in Texas. And I thought, oh, I like Texas. I used to go to Texas at least once a year, if not twice a year, with work. And so let's just pull out another stencil. I'm looking at this. Let's pull out some of mine. Right, I'm looking for 5x7s because, oh, we've got to have little leaves. This is getting so heavy. I love little leaves. Let's leave that open so I know where I am. So I thought, right, let's have a little look at this PM Artist Studio, and looked them up and found them on YouTube. And yes, they did stencils, and at the time they did stencils, and I think they had an online shop that had, like, I would call them a digital, they call them printables. So yes, they were there, and they did lives. I want to say they did them twice a week or 3 times a week. I think they did them Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. Now they do them Sundays, Mondays, Thursdays. Wait a minute, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. So you see, it's not the right time of day for me, is it? So I watched from the shadows, should we say. I didn't actually say anything. I comment in the comments. I just, as one would say, I lurked in the background, which is fine. I just didn't want to be pulled into a conversation or a topic, or I didn't want to be judged, basically. I know that may sound like a really odd thing, but it just, I wanted to dip my toe in the water and see what these people were offering, without someone coming at me going, oh, you're Ceri Griffiths, we know you from the cake wheel, blah, blah, blah. And I didn't want that. I just wanted a touch of, oh, like that. That's subtle in there. And is it called anonymity? I can't say that word, but I think you know what I mean. Right, I'm going to take that off there immediately. Pop this down on there. I can see the backs of these cards are going to get absolutely filthy, aren't they? And just brayer that onto my... So over here, I'm obviously just cleaning off stuff onto the stamps. The labels. You will see all of this. I'll do a really quick flip through at the end of it. This video is not going to be more than an hour long, guys. I don't have more than an hour to do it. And also, it's just a hint at what the prep has been like. That didn't work. I've got a very subtle bit, but that wasn't enough. I think I want to pull this in. Right. I think some of these are beginning to look like they may well be on the way to being finished. Well, finished as a background. So anyway, needless to say, so I happened to be watching them. I watched for a couple of weeks without being seen, because that was my nature, not because I was being sneaky. I just didn't want to be seen. I've got this one, which I love, and I've got this one, and I'm thinking I've got something pale green here somewhere. Where the heck have I put it? Well, there you go, Titan Green Pale, and I love this colour. So anyway, so I was watching them, and they announced that they were going to be launching a design not by PM Artist Studio. They were going to be launching a design by Fran Baker, I think Fran's last name is, here in the UK. And I found that very interesting. I was like, oh, this is Lazy Layers. So what have I got in Lazy Layers that I like? Well, dots. You can't go wrong with dots. Can't go wrong with. Actually, I don't want these dots because there's a strip and a lump. I've got more dots somewhere. I'll come across this in a bit. So I was really interested that they were beginning to look at working with other artists. So I did reach out, not with the intent of designing for them. It was sort of in the back of my mind that it would be an interesting idea to see whether I could design for a company in America and how would I go about doing that. And I just wanted to dip my toe in the water to reach out and see, let them know I was there, basically. So I reached out to Mariah, and Mariah and I chatted a little bit, and I love that. I'm going to consider that one finished, definitely. Reached out to each other, and it was a good conversation. We basically sounded each other out, I would say, is probably the best way to put it. I mean, her as a businesswoman and me as a designer, we just chatted for a while, back and forth via Messenger. I quite like where that's gone as well. I'll just take this off here. With no real direction in mind, except I was just finding out what their company was about. And purely because I have licensed my name to a couple of companies over the years as a designer, and I have been stung once or twice as a designer. And by that I mean there have been a couple of companies who have not paid royalties or just basically taken my designs, and I've never had any recognition for them. It's just, it happens, guys. It happens, right? This, I like that circle in there, but I do want something else in here. I don't really want to lose that. And may I add, before you think of it, K2C Designs have been perfect at payment, management, everything. Not a company I'm upset with. But there have been another couple of companies, which I'm not going to name because that's not who I am. I'm just going to let fate deal with whatever has happened there. Right, I like this area here, but I want to put something into that as well. It's just a hint of. This paint is drying up now. Right, there you go. That's another one that I think might be done. So anyway, so we went back and forth a few times, just chatting about inspirational stuff, and it turns out that they were a relatively new company, a small family business, which I love. I love the whole family business thing. I love the fact that they were a small business, so therefore they had complete control over their designs and everything about what they were doing. They weren't pressurized by bigger shareholders, or basically it was just an interesting small family company that was going in the right direction. I had a feeling that one day, and I still have a feeling one day, that they are going to be a really big company one day with international distribution. I have faith in them, and that's why I've signed with them. And it turns out, and this was another thing that was not intentional, that I had something to offer them as well, in so much as, because of my experience and my knowledge, I mean, at 64, you've accrued a lot of stuff. And the fact that I've run my own business, I've worked with other companies internationally, I actually had knowledge to offer them. It wasn't something I was planning, but we soon found out as my friendship blossomed with Mariah that wisely she's open-minded enough to accept another viewpoint and welcome to the fact that I could drop her a message and go, have you thought of doing this? Have you thought of doing that? Without any obligation of having to take it, just basically being open-minded enough, sorry, I just want to dry this plate off, being open-minded enough to actually accept that there may be a different viewpoint. So we've become very much advisors to each other, because I will contact, like, about this challenge. I've got a video meeting next week with Mariah going, okay, it's going really well. Is there anything I should be doing that you think I'm missing? And we very much a give and give relationship, which I absolutely adore. That's wonderful to me. Right, before I go on chatting away forever and a day, let's see what else is in here. Right, I didn't want to use that one. I don't want to use that one. Roses is lovely, but I'd rather do roses as a focal point. I wonder, maybe this one, like grandfather's letters. That's the 5x7 version. So I'm losing track of all this. So, right, if I want it the right way round when I pull it, it has to be the wrong way round on the plate. Yes, it does. Sorry, sometimes it messes with my mind when I'm doing letters and numbers to get them in the correct orientation. Right, let's have a think. What colours have I not really popped into anything? I mean, they're looking great behind me, so I think these two could do with a bit of interest. And I think this just needs a little bit more. But now I must remember, this is a background. I don't want it too high contrast, says he, pulling this one out. Hello. I wonder, that would be quite nice because it'll have a bit of a shimmer to it. I'm not sure it's going to be high enough contrast to be completely 100% visible, but it might be a subtlety in the background, and I'm okay about that. So anyway, then one day Mariah said, have you ever considered designing stencils? And I was like, well, yes, I have. I mean, it's what I was aiming to do once upon a time. Funnily enough, it's one of the things we hadn't actually talked about in all of our conversations was stencil designs by other artists. So she said, well, listen, there's an open offer on the table. If you ever want to do it, just let us know and we can have a discussion. And I'm okay. I'm definitely up for that. So it's just... Ooh, and I like the way it's got that puckering texture to this. Okay, I'm thinking that one is pretty much done as well. Now this one needs a bit of help down here. And I say that because I wanted to break that line. And I don't mind that's a strip down there. I'm not sure it's going to do much on here, but I'm just going to do it anyway. So anyway, she said, well, listen, how do you work? I said, well, actually, I draw. I can do Photoshop. I can't actually do design technology because I'm not really a techie person. So she said, okay, do your drawings and your artwork as cleanly as you can, send it to her, and then she would finish it off, which was wonderful because that was another thing that held me back in the beginning was I don't have the knowledge to create SVG files, which are the cutting files, which is what I would have had to, that's interesting, which is what I'd have to do. I think that's not far off, to have made them made commercial. So after a few stencil designs, Mariah said, I'm sorry, it's taken us a little long to get your designs ready. It's because we have to do the work prior to, so I'm just flicking through here to see what else is in here. Oh, and there you go. Okay, Broken Bark was the first ever stencil I made for PM Artist Studio. It came in 3 sizes, and this, I took inspiration from tree bark, literally. I was dog sitting for friends of mine probably about 3 years ago now. That's an olivey sort of green, let's use that. And I was taking Henry, who was their dog, for a walk. And there were these really old gnarled trees, like all gnarly and broken. And literally I pulled my iPhone out and took pictures because it was just, I found it fascinating what was on these trees, and brought it home, and then I went in and cleaned it up and then drew around it, and that's how the stencil was created. I think this one could do with a little bit of something, and I've kept it quite subtle, so that will do. I think that one's probably done. I seem to be ignoring these, so this needs a bit of help. So that was how this was done. I'm not hugely fond of how that one's going. This one will do with some green. Could be fine. So where was I up to? So anyway, Mariah suggested, have I ever worked with an app called Adobe Illustrator? And I'm like, uh-oh, because Adobe Illustrator is quite a complex program. And I was like, that's not going to work for me. I'm never going to get to grips with that. And Mariah's like, no, I'm talking about the app, not the entire program. Because the program is really complex. It's what designers use for stuff. And I'm like, oh, I'm not going to get that. And immediately I started to go, I don't think this is a good idea. And that was just my anxiety kicking in, going, you can't do it. You're not going to be able to do it. It's just, so anyway. So Mariah said, listen, I'm on the other end of the video. If you really get stuck, give me a call, watch a few tutorials and see where you can go with it. Let's put a little bit of that on here, which is what I did. I downloaded the app. I watched probably about 20 or 30 videos, to be honest with you, just so I could get a full understanding. That was going to be done as well. And I got to grips with it. And there were a few things to this very day. There are things I'm like, right, it's done something. I don't know how to get out of it. I don't know how to do this. But what it meant was I could design electronically on my iPad and then send the SVG to Brad, who's Mariah and Brad is Mariah's husband, and then it would make the process easier and quicker for them. So I did that. The one thing that I do find as much of a struggle is I can use my own photographs and everything as inspiration, but they seem to have lost the hand-drawn-ness of it. I don't know. There's just something that's very different from designing by hand to designing electronically, and I still think I'm teetering between the two. But obviously with the range of stencils and foam stamps I've got out there now, believe me, I've got the hang of it. It just still doesn't feel incredibly, it doesn't feel organic when I design, but what I design is totally fine and I love it. Right, I'm looking around thinking I'm pretty much there. Let me go away and have a quick grab of postcards that may need something. So I think this one just needs something because the dragonflies are too dominant. This needs something to just, it's too busy, but it looks like an old rug. This one does need something, but subtly. And this one was just so subtle, it was a secret, as my saying goes. So I think we've only got about 6 of them I want to play with. So let's see what we've got coming in. So anyway, so that's how I do it now. I work on Adobe Illustrator on my iPad to design. I know a lot of people use Procreate. They use other programs, but I tend to shy away from technology if I don't understand it, guys. But I do love what I'm doing. Where's Dots gone? I've lost. Oh, of course, I haven't got the folders over here, have I? Bear with me. I haven't got my file folders. I had a feeling something is missing, and it's this. It's where the bigger folders go. Right. Time warp. Oh, I haven't used this one actually, I haven't used this one at all by the looks of it. This was Shattered Surfboards. I loved Shattered Surfboards. I had big intents to do a whole tropical theme with this, but you know what it's like when life gets in the way. Right, I think I quite like that on this. Right, how do I want to play this? I don't want everything to be dark and grungy. I will leave that up to Darcy. Mind you, there will be 1 or 2 dark and dingy ones from me. But Darcy likes that whole grungy look, and it sometimes doesn't always sit well with me when I do designs. I like things a bit cleaner. So, and I don't mean clean as in hygienically, I would just mean clean as in appearance. Right, where's the white gone? I think I'm going to go white. So, so that's how I design. And then on the other side of that, I wasn't really aware. Was I aware? Yeah, I think I might have been slightly aware, but I wasn't really aware of foam stamps. Like it wasn't something I'd actually ever owned or worked with. It was something that, to be honest with you, I thought they were for kids because they were foams, so I thought they were for children. Oh, that's cool. It's not what I thought it was going to be, but I quite like it. Let's put this down on there as well. I think I can pick up that. So I didn't really give them much credit. And then PM Artist Studio said they were really excited with the new project. Oh, now that's made that come to life. And they were going to start doing foam stamps. And I was very apprehensive because I was like, I don't know that I think that's a good idea. But you know what? I'm glad I shut my mouth and didn't say anything because they're a fabulous idea. This could do with a little bit of something, couldn't it? And they're a fabulous idea and they're great. And I've now got to the point where, I mean, I design foam stamps on a regular basis now. Well, hence, there's 4 of them right by there. And I've no idea how many designs I've got. We'll be dealing with those in the next video because that's where I'm going to work with gift wrap tissue paper and stuff like that. So I wasn't really aware of, that still needs something, of foam stamps. But I watched what the designers were doing and how they were being used. I didn't particularly want to use them, I need to go in the water, for inks. I very much wanted to use them with acrylic paints, and I wasn't sure whether that was actually a possibility that you could use them with acrylic paints. Looked around, found out some people were doing that with acrylic paints, so I thought, oh, now that really worked. They look a bit like maggots now. Oh, croissant. Let's call them croissants. We're going to Paris with this one. So, actually, that's another one that needs sorting out. So let's put that down there. So where was I going with this? So I started designing them very tentatively at first because I wasn't really sure how it. When you design stencils and masks, there's very much a mindset. You have to work mentally with dealing with apertures and bridges, because if things aren't joined together, they fall to pieces. And also trying to visualize that the aperture is actually what's going to be left behind. It's a mind way of working. But then when you design foam stamps, you kind of do the reverse. The bridges become lines, which will be the thing that's left behind. The apertures that were once the design are now going to be open space. And also, if you don't want to connect things because they're all part of the foam stamp, they're never going to fall apart because they're held. So there's 2 very different mindsets when you're dealing with things like that. And yeah, it was a little bit, I have made a few boo-boos. I mean, I'm quite methodical, so hopefully not too many. Hopefully I haven't caused too much angst for Mariah. I think I want to wipe that off there, or it's going to give me a ghost I don't need somewhere. So yeah, so now I really do enjoy designing foam stamps, and my design work is basically, I would say probably 50-50 designs of stencils and foam stamps, which I think is lovely. Right, this needs sorting, and I think I'm going to be incredibly brave, and I'm going to use the transparent red iron oxide again and give this what's called a glaze. A glaze is a really thin layer, as in glaze on a glazed donut. Do you know, it's just, it can be seen, but it's not a dominant feature. So where was I up to? So yes, so I'm really enjoying foam stamps. I've really got into the mark making side of designing foam stamps because it just plays to my mixed media head. And I love the fact that I can actually make things and those things are copyright free because they're all my designs. Okay, this is part of tomorrow's prep. But all of those in there are mark makers, or I call them sketchy foam stamps, or I call them mark makers. And I pulled them out, and there's another 5 or 6 in design coming, but I'm not probably going to launch them to about August or September. I need to get my head around them. I think for July, I've got a stencil design I'm working on, which I'm happy about, but I need about a day to finish it, and there is no time at the moment. So see, that's what that needed. Now, just that subtle wash of colour or glaze has knocked the high contrast back, so it is a background. Now, the dragonflies are never going to go away. They are there. But now they're not as dominant, and then depending on what I put on top of this again, they may be pushed further into the background. I find that push and pull thing very interesting. Right, I don't want that to be on that plate. That'll be enough. So I'm down to these 3 now. I'm quite liking this one, but I have this thing I want to use my dot stencil. I just need to find it. I'm not doing any of that. Sorry if I'm not in shot. This is purely... Actually, that might be one I might use. Let's just leave that out. Where have you gone, dots? Come on. You're in here somewhere. There you go. There's dots. Dainty dots, it's called. Right, comes in different sizes. I just want that size. I love a dot. You know me and my bubble wrap. And believe me, bubble wrap will be coming into play at some point here, I can assure you. Right, I really did like the idea of something a little more contrasty with this one. And I know I pulled this one out before, alizarin crimson. Please excuse my pronunciations. English may be my first language, but I don't think alizarin is actually English. I've got a feeling it's a derivative of something else. So, but never mind, I could be wrong, because goodness knows I'm wrong quite a lot of the time. Right, let's come in. Now, I just want this, something creeping up, and there's something coming down from the other corner. See, that's enough to make that pop. This is becoming very muddy, and actually I might be dealing with that separately. Right. Okay, I think that rescued that. I was beginning to think this needed a whole makeover. No, I like that. That's a... Yes, I quite like that. Right. Now, Mr. Dragon here, I want to be really careful. I don't want to cover him up. Well, not any more than I really have to. And a little bit up there. I'm not sure about this card at the moment. Oh, look, that's where his eye's probably going to be. Oh, that could be fortuitous, should we say? I don't know. This is one of the postcards that wasn't planned. This one may end up in the final thing, and it may not. And I think this natural paper one could do with something as well. Right, now what I've done there is I've rolled the brayer over, because then the paint that was underneath will be one intensity, and the circles will be another, because I'd already lifted some of it off. No, I don't want that bit in the corner looking like that. Right, that's fine. Right, let's pop that onto my labels. Into the bath water. Right, that needs cleaning off there. Come in here, paper. Right, we're down to 1. And actually it's 56 minutes. That's not bad. I said no more than an hour. So what my plan is I'm going to put white over this. I'm going to knock it all the way back. Now, I'm probably going to lose everything that's already on there. That's okay with me. It's not working, and sometimes you just have to go, I'm not feeling it, but it doesn't mean I'm abandoning it. I'm going to just trust the process, as I say. I need a t-shirt with that on, don't I? Trust the process, trust the process, trust the process. I know that nothing is beyond rescue unless it's completely destroyed, falling to pieces, and cannot even be used. So I'm just going to come in and change the entire character of this postcard. I'm just going to put that down and pick up white. Now, it may not be that you get a complete, what do you try to say, Griffiths? A complete total coverage of the postcard. That in itself will be interesting. Right, just doing that so I've got it smoothed down. So what did we destroy? What did we keep? Right, so as you can see, I've just basically cleaned that right down again, and that's fine. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a colour to completely add drama to that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use, I don't know when I launched this one, chain links. I did have a 5x7, didn't I? I haven't even used the 5x7. I've used the larger one, obviously, but the 5x7 is the one I want for this. Right, question is, what colour? Right, that's got a bit of a pinky hue to it. Let's look around. Now, I'm trying to avoid really high contrast. That's what I'm doing. Let's be a little bizarre. Let's use cadmium yellow. Right. Don't need a massive amount of it. I don't even need all of it covered. And let's just stick with this orientation for this. Now I'm pressing down quite firmly because I need the paint to come up through the stencil. And there we go. That brought that back to life. I quite like the subtlety of that. I might put some of that on here. Really, really subtle, but I'm okay with subtle on this card. It's going to be interesting to see how, it's right subtle, right subtle. How is bad is that English-wise? It's going to be interesting to see how all of these end up. Right, let's get, I need to stop saying right as well. What is it with all these bad habits I'm getting into? I have a good vocabulary. Use it, Griffiths. Let's take that out of there. Put it in the bowl of water. And let's just get that off there. Let's go with this green. It's a bit of a clean up from the other day. So, I think that's what we're going to do. Well, it's not what we're, that is enough for what we're going to do. I think I'm going to call all of the postcard bases done. What I'm going to do in a moment is I'm actually going to just pause the camera for you, pick up all the postcards and bring them over and do a final flip through of what we've got. And that way you can see everything. This is how the arty labels are going. So now if you know me, what I'll do from this point on is I'll come in and do some mark making and stuff on here. And tomorrow, when I do some of that mark making, these may become featured again because they're on the side here and I'm filming tomorrow. So I'm not going to change the setup. And I'm going to even be using the same 5x7. Although overnight I will put it back in its case so I don't want it drying out. Right, I'm going to pause you guys, and then I'm going to I'm going to pause you. I'm going to then go in and get all of the other postcards, and we'll do a bit of a flip through. Back in 2 seconds, guys. So there are some I didn't do anything to. You've already seen those, so they will come into play later on. I just think they're too beautiful to actually have put anything more on. This is the one we just did. That was the one with the surfboards. I do quite like the green. Now, a lot of these could have stenciling on them further. They might have tissue. They may have napkin. They may have doodling. They may have texture paste, crackle paste, drips. They're probably going to have ephemera type pieces stuck to them. They might have labels. They might have anything. That's turning out quite nice. I like that. I'm glad I did that. That feels like a very me postcard. That actually feels like a very me postcard as well. I'm glad I was able to keep that dark. This might actually end up with either gold or a black and white image on it. That one, I must remember this colour. It's almost like an aubergine and a teal. Love that. That's the dragon one. Still not sure where that's going. I think if I go in with a fine marker and mark all the way around that, I might be able to make that what I'm thinking I need to make it. Now, I'm not thinking with them in an orientation at the moment. I'm holding them in portrait, but that doesn't mean it can't be landscape. Liking how the paint picked up on those. That was a good move. I love this, not loving this, but then there could easily be something across there. That feels like it needs more, but I don't want to overdo it with the gel plate when I can do some tissue work later and mark making. I love how that turned out. It's just turned out really fresh looking. I love this. This was just, I'm going to have to make up my mind because that's just begging out for this. Actually, it's begging out to be the number 8, isn't it? But think about that. That's nice. This I didn't do anything more because I love the drama of that. It almost reminds me of a phoenix. I know it's peacock feathers, Darcy. Don't be going in the comments, Darcy. Don't you be telling me to know my birds. Joking, Darcy and I are good friends. But it just reminds me of swirling flames. If I had a phoenix, I could put a phoenix on there. Like that, it's almost rust. That turned out nice. I love the way the texture's coming through. Fine, love that. I didn't do anything to that one. I kept looking at it and looking at it and went, I love it. I'm leaving it as it is. That one's nice. I love the subtlety of that. I didn't do anything to that. Didn't do anything to that, nor that, but I did on that. So there you go. I think that's a darn good day's work done. In the next video, I'm going to be doing some foam stamping and mark making. I'm going to finish preparing the numbers. I'm going to do stuff, but that will be then the final video where all of the prep will be done, and then it's down to actually doing it on the day when I'm filming everything. So I'm Ceri the Crafter. That's Ceri the Crafter. Until next time, goodbye now.